Welcome guys to Koree the Traveler here, and I'm starting this vlog just here in our simple kitchen, and it's gonna be different today because my mother-in-law, she's going to teach us. Let me just use the word us for everyone who is watching this. So she's going to teach us how to make American food. So she's going to explain everything about it, and yeah, so enjoy.
Hello. Hey, we are having an interesting day today, and I am Becky Miller, Gerald and Becky Miller. You know our channel that we have, but I'm going to be here on Koree's channel, and we're going to do some American food, and that is homemade yeast resin donuts. So I'll let you watch and see how this process goes, and we're going to make donuts. I have the recipe here that is the closest to my mom's that I could find on Pinterest. I didn't bring all my recipes to Africa, so I had to do next best. Anyway, we're going to have the flour and the milk and the butter, the eggs and stuff, mix it together right here on the countertop, and you can watch as I do that. First, we're going to put the milk in here, and we're going to make it warm because we're using yeast and it needs to be warm. We're going to put on some low heat here. We're going to put 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter in here. That's about perfect. And we're going to put the salt in here too. Scrape that butter off. Okay. The butter, the salt, and the yeast, I think. We have to melt the butter first before we go ahead with that. And while that gets warm, we're going to crack our eggs in here and beat them up with a fork. Thank you. These eggs are nice and orange. Okay, let's see how warm this is. It's enough. The butter is almost melted. While it's a little warm here, we're going to add a half a cup of sugar as well. And this is raw sugar, so the granules need to be dissolved in the warm milk. And that'll take a little bit of stirring to get that dissolved. This is something that I used to make in my bakery years ago when our children were small. And every Friday and Saturday morning we'd make homemade donuts, glazed donuts. sugar, salt, yeast, and eggs goes in here. Now let me check the temperature. It's still a little warm for the yeast, so now we'll add the eggs in there, and that'll cool it off a little bit more. Now it should be about right. It's not hot anymore. It's just lukewarm, it's perfect, and we will add this yeast to it. About 3 teaspoons of yeast. We'll put this recipe on the screen or in the description. Okay, stir this up. And now we're going to let this set a little bit to soak the yeast, to get it active and going. And I have measured out the flour here, and we're just going to add that to the flour whenever my yeast is done soaking. And it might be an instant yeast that I don't have to wait around too long. But my sugar is nicely dissolved, and it's just, you can see it's just a smooth milk egg mixture, other than for the yeast that's in there. And now we're going to add this liquid to the flour and mix us a donut dough that we can work with. Just like so. I think some of my yeast is getting hung up in the bowl. All right, there's that. There's nothing better than a warm, deep-fried donut with some fresh glaze on it, vanilla glaze, and a cup of coffee. You can't have that without coffee. So I felt very privileged that Koree allowed me on this channel to do this recipe, and we were so hungry for homemade donuts we decided to just go ahead and do them. Okay, I'm gonna have to get my hands in there now. It's gonna take a little bit of mixing here, and you get the dough from the edges and bring it into the center and push it in like that. From my experience with donuts, I think this dough is just a little too stiff, so I'm going to add a little bit of milk to this to make it the right consistency. I think my measuring cups may have varied from what they may have had, so I'll just work this in here and it'll be just fine. And the recipe says to knead it for 10 minutes, so I will be doing that for sure.
Oh, here's mine.
Yeah, we're making donuts. Or we're gonna try. This is a new recipe, so.
You know, I've not had nothing to eat all day. Just juice. Now I'm wanting a donut.
A donut. Well, this dough will take another 45 minutes to raise, so it won't be right away. Oh, it's getting nice and soft now. It's not the window pane test yet, but we're going to try and knead it a little bit more. It doesn't want to stretch. I think it's almost done. Almost, just a few more rounds. Smells nice. Very nice. Okay, we're going to cover it out and let it set for 15 or 20 minutes. And let it raise, and then we're going to do the next step. We are going to do the next step of these donuts. The dough has risen a bit. Can you see that dough? So we're going to flip it out on the countertop here, and we're going to cut it into 24 pieces because it should make about 24 donuts. Somewhere in there, 20 or 24. So that's what we're going to do next. And we're going to sprinkle some all-purpose flour on the counter here so it doesn't stick on our working surface. Take the plastic off. There. Okay, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and we're going to leave it at 16. Now we're going to make little dough balls like this. We're going to put it on this plate here, this pan, and we're going to let it raise again. Okay, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. We got 16 donuts out of this batch instead of 24. So we'll see how it raises. If I can get more, I will, but for now, I think I'll leave it at that. Okay, now we're going to cover this up with some more saran wrap, and we're going to wait again for a half hour, and then we'll shape them into donuts for the next step. Okay, we'll get back at you and do the following step. Last step, making the middle of the donut. There. There. Now we'll let them rise. Cover them back up, and then we'll get the oil ready to fry them in about a half hour or whenever they're big enough. Double in size is what they recommend. And we're going to cover these up. Now we're going to make the glaze for these donuts. In about 30 minutes we'll be frying them, hopefully. They're raised fast enough. Now we're going to make the glaze. We're going to have 2 cups of powdered sugar and a splash of vanilla and enough water to make a right consistency of glaze. There, 2 cups. And we're going to put it in this bowl here. And add a cupful of vanilla, like so. and just a little bit of water. We're going to make a glaze here. I'm not sure how many tablespoons of water I'm putting in here, but just enough to get a glaze to where it'll hang on to the donut pretty heavily. Especially with this being more like a cake donut, we'll want a heavier glaze. It's getting nice and smooth in there. I guess next time I'll have to get the real white sugar to make donuts with instead of the raw sugar, cane sugar, because my donuts are not nice and white like they should be. Plus the consistency is somewhat different somehow. But I think they'll be good to eat just like they are. Doesn't that look like a nice glaze to dribble over your donuts? There you are. I still have a little bit left if I need more. Maybe I can make a real icing with it and spread it on top of the donut with some sprinkles or something. I'll have to raid her cabinets to see what she has. Okay, back with the donuts. Here is fresh fry. And I am going to put a couple inches of this in this pot here and get ready to fry those donuts.
A few moments later.
So I already took one bite and I'm gonna take another bite. Wow. This is so yummy. I bet, guys. Hey. I feel like my one cube out of 6 cubes. You know, I used to have 6. It went back to 1 after marrying my wife. And having my mother-in-law, I feel like my 1 cube will also go away. Soon I'll be having a kitambi. This food is so, this what they don't donut here. It's so yummy, guys. Oh. Just look at all this, guys. I'm ending this video here because I can't wait to eat a lot of these. So until the next video, peace out. Oh.